All right, let's jump right in. We spend so much time talking about the software side of the AI boom, the algorithms, the chatbots, the models. But today, based on a fascinating new CTI briefing, we're going to focus entirely on the physical reality in this explainer. We are literally going inside the AI factory to understand what it actually takes to bring this intelligence to life.
First, I want you to consider this absolutely astronomical number, $600 to $700 billion. That is the projected 2026 capital expenditure for just the big five hyperscalers. And here's the really crucial detail. Roughly 3/4 of that massive sum is tied directly to AI infrastructure. We are witnessing a level of spending relative to revenue that is completely without precedent for tech companies. It's truly reshaping the global economy.
To put all that money into a physical perspective, there are currently 190 gigawatts of new hyperscale capacity in delivery right now. Just to grasp that scale for a second, a single gigawatt can power hundreds of thousands of homes. So we're talking about nation-state levels of power being mobilized specifically to build the physical foundation of artificial intelligence. And the fundamental shift here is that we are no longer just building data centers. The old paradigm was pretty simple, right? A passive building that basically just housed computers. But the new AI factory, it's a completely different beast. It acts as this massive industrial organism where compute, power, water, the network, and even governance all converge to produce intelligence at scale. It's really more of a living system than a storage unit.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering building at gigawatt scale, the grid strain and community backlash, heat reuse and efficiency wins, and finally, governing the AI boom. Let's kick things off with Section 1, building at gigawatt scale, where computation becomes a foundational utility. Out in the real world, gigawatt scale is almost hard to fathom. Meta, for example, is building a 5-gigawatt AI supercluster in Louisiana, which carries implications for entire regional power systems. Then you have OpenAI in Georgia with a 3.2-gigawatt power agreement locked in for the next 25 years. And New Era Energy in New Mexico is proposing a 7-gigawatt campus spread across 3,500 acres. These projects are effectively the size of new industrial cities. They're fundamentally altering the landscape.
Because of this massive scale, hyperscalers have completely shifted how they talk about their operations. They've pivoted away from just focusing on capital, and now it's all about time to energy. That's the measure of how fast a newly built campus can actually get connected to power and start generating revenue. Money isn't the primary constraint anymore. Power availability is. Time to energy is now absolutely the defining bottleneck of the AI factory era.
Which brings us right into Section 2. Grid strain and community backlash, representing the hard limit to infrastructure growth.
This is where the bottleneck really starts to choke the industry. Imagine you hit year zero. Your massive facility construction is completely finished. But here in the US, interconnection queues are dragging on for 5 to 7 years. That is a minimum of 5 years just waiting to plug these facilities into the grid, especially since new AI server racks can require upwards of 100 kilowatts each. A facility might actually wait longer to get plugged in than the AI company has even existed. The grid simply cannot keep up.
And honestly, it's not just the physical grid that's straining. The social friction is intensely severe. A staggering 70% of Americans oppose having a data center built near their home. When you think about the sheer number of these AI factories that have to be built to meet demand, having 7 out of 10 people actively opposing them in their own backyards creates a tremendous amount of friction.
This opposition isn't just some localized PR headache anymore either. It has morphed into a massive structural risk. Communities have now successfully blocked or delayed more than $64 billion in projects. That's tens of billions of dollars in infrastructure development completely frozen because the AI boom is directly clashing with the human and environmental ecosystems it's trying to build inside of.
We are literally watching this play out locally right now. Major fights are directly dictating where and how fast these AI factories get built. In Indianapolis, a major project only got approved after being significantly scaled down due to protests. Over in Buckeye, Arizona, a $14 billion project was entirely withdrawn after rezoning got blocked. It only survived by completely changing its site. And in Illinois, lawmakers actually hit pause on data center tax incentives because they were terrified the massive power draw would spike electricity rates for everyday households.
Thankfully, it's not all roadblocks, which leads us to Section 3, heat reuse and efficiency wins, where the industry is treating heat as a resource, not a liability.
The engineering solutions happening right now are truly ingenious.
First, modern liquid-cooled GPU racks reject coolant at incredibly high temperatures, around 55 to 65 degrees Celsius. Next, instead of venting that heat into the atmosphere, that hot coolant feeds directly into district heating networks, sometimes without even needing a heat pump. Ultimately, these integrated systems end up cutting the facility's non-IT energy load by over 50%. They are quite literally turning waste heat into a direct revenue line, massively cutting overall energy consumption and heating surrounding communities all at once.
But they aren't just saving power. They are tackling the global water crisis head-on. Advanced near-zero water cooling solutions are making incredible progress. Closed-loop systems are starting to eliminate those traditional thirsty cooling towers entirely. Individual facilities using this tech report saving over 30 million gallons of water every single year. And in human climates, membrane-based systems are cutting water use by up to 90%. This isn't just theoretical anymore. These systems are moving rapidly from pilot programs straight to real-world deployment, pushing the whole industry toward water-neutral operations.
So the tech is there, but how do we ensure these incredible efficiencies actually get used? Well, right now, we're seeing a deep global divide in regulatory approaches. Germany is actively mandating a 10% energy reuse factor today, which will step up to 20% by 2028. The European Union made waste heat reuse assessments mandatory for facilities drawing over 1 megawatt. Meanwhile, the United States is taking a very different path, largely facing 18 state bills and 86 local moratoriums. So, while Europe is attempting to force circularity through national regulation, the US is dealing with fragmented local blockades.
This regulatory squeeze perfectly sets up Section 4, governing the AI boom, taking a look at embedded ethics and the future of infrastructure. To survive the kind of gridlock we talked about earlier, data centers have to adapt. They're shifting from passively drawing power off the grid to actively participating in grid stability using on-site generation. Because of those brutal 5 to 7 year interconnection delays, facilities are being forced to orchestrate their own energy. They're relying heavily on behind-the-meter generation like natural gas, solar, and fuel cells just to bypass the queues and get online. And how else are they accelerating through these roadblocks? I mean, everyone is buzzing about nuclear power right now, and yes, hyperscalers have committed to over 10 gigawatts of new nuclear capacity, but as the source clearly points out, that is mostly a 2030s solution. What's actually moving the needle today? Modular, factory-built construction. By prefabricating these facilities, they're compressing project timelines by an incredible 30 to 50%. As a result, labor demand is entirely shifting from traditional on-site trades over to logistics and factory fabrication.
Ultimately, looking ahead, the absolute scarcest resource isn't just going to be gigawatts of power or gallons of water, it is going to be governance. That means the embedded ethics, the accountability, and the standardized playbooks that this autonomous infrastructure will absolutely need to maintain a social license and keep public trust. Because without public trust, the infrastructure simply stalls out.
Which leaves us with this final, profound question to consider as we wrap up this explainer. The question is no longer whether these massive systems get built, but how thoughtfully. Knowing this incredible gigawatt-scale AI infrastructure is inevitable, how thoughtfully will we allow it to be integrated into our communities and our planet? It's a massive physical challenge, and the answer to that question will absolutely shape the world we live in over the next decade. Thanks for joining me to explore the physical reality of the AI factory.